So it's been about 8 years since the Nintendo Switch first came out. It's been a little over 8 years actually, because it came out in March of 2017. And we are getting ready to go to Switch 2. Pre-orders for Switch 2 just happened, so I want to talk about that a little bit. But I also wanted to talk about some of my memories with the original Nintendo Switch. I will be honest with you straight from the beginning. I have zero recollection of the first Switch ever going up for pre-order. Like I'm sure it did go up for pre-order at some point. I have no idea where I was at. Best as I can probably guess, this was still around the time I was coming off the low of the Wii U, and I was not immediately willing to accept Nintendo and their pivot to the Nintendo Switch and the games that it was going to come with. Of course, I saw them in the October video and the January presentation and everything, but just due to kind of the whole thing with the Wii U, I was kind of questioning if Nintendo and gaming in general was kind of gonna be for me in the long term. There were a lot of other life changes going on around that time. I was a senior in high school, so I was getting ready to go to college. I was trying to figure out kind of what my long-term plans were. And I was in my first relationship at the time. It was starting. I was getting really into Apple products and just technology more broadly. So I think around this time, video games weren't at the top of my priority list. And I think that's why I don't remember anything about the Nintendo Switch. And I didn't feel any need to get it day one because the launch title for Nintendo Switch was Breath of the Wild, which was also a Wii U game, and I decided I was going to get the Wii U version. There was no reason for me to get a Switch because at that time, the first couple months worth of games were all games that I had already played or could already play on the Wii U, and I had a Wii U, so I was like, well, there's no reason to get a Nintendo Switch. That changed at some point, and it had to have been pretty early on after the Switch became available, because I, for whatever reason, in my stupid mind, decided it was a good idea to get a copy of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe from Best Buy and keep that, even though I did not have a Switch yet at that point. So there had to have been, and I don't even know how long exactly it was, a month or two, maybe a little bit more, where I just had a Nintendo Switch game and no Nintendo Switch. And whenever I wanted to play Mario Kart, I played it on the Wii U. I have no idea what I was thinking. What really sold me on Nintendo Switch and made me go, oh, I need to get one of these, like now, was I don't remember if it was the Splatoon. I don't think it was the Splatoon 2 Direct. It was the Nintendo Direct that had the Salmon Run trailer at the end. I think they also had an ARMS presentation in that Nintendo Direct as well. And ARMS looked really fun to me. And ARMS was really fun. It still is really fun. It's an absolute scam that we have not gotten a sequel to ARMS, but we'll save that for another day. And Splatoon 2 was the other thing that made me go, oh, I need to get a Nintendo Switch. This is where that franchise is going. It looks so much bigger and better than Splatoon 1 on Wii U. I need to get a Switch to play Splatoon 2. So Splatoon 2 is what sold me on Nintendo Switch. And in kind of the lead up to Splatoon 2 coming out, I do remember that at one point I had placed a call to a GameStop in a town nearby to me because the town I lived in had like a Walmart, and that was about it. And that Walmart sucked, because when Amiibo were a thing, they had gotten like a couple of the first wave of Amiibo, and I don't think they ever got an Amiibo again. To this day, I still don't think they have an Amiibo, but then again, who does? So yeah, that was a call I made to that GameStop, and I asked if they had any Nintendo Switch systems in stock, and they must not have, because I did not purchase my Nintendo Switch from GameStop. I purchased my Nintendo Switch on July 20th, the day before, in being even more specific, within hours of Splatoon 2 coming out, at the Walmart in my town, just on an absolute whim. I was going through the Walmart, and I was going through the game section because that's just what I do as a gamer. I stop in the game section, and I was like, there's not going to be a Nintendo Switch in this aisle, but I'll take a look anyway. There were 3 Nintendo Switch systems in that aisle. And so I flagged down a retail associate. I called my mom, and I was like, Mom, I need you to move about $350 from my savings account to my checking account, because I'm about to purchase a Nintendo Switch. And she was like, okay. And so she did that. The retail associate checked me out, and checked out the Switch to me. She wasn't checking me out. That'd be a little creepy, a little weird. And then I walked out of that place, went back to my house, and I started playing Nintendo Switch and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, because that was the only game that I had. I promptly decided to get a 1-2 Switch from the eShop, because I was a sucker. I think ARMS had come out by that point, so I think I got ARMS. And then, a few hours later, I was like, oh, you know what? It's time. This is the reason I bought this console in the first place. I'm gonna go download Splatoon 2. And so I went and downloaded Splatoon 2. And of course, my cat's gonna be here for this video too. So I went and downloaded Splatoon 2, played lots of Mario Kart, played lots of ARMS. Those games were all amazing. A lot of those were the games that I played in my freshman year of college and a little bit after, and my game collection grew a little bit kind of in the summers when I wasn't working as a student. I had a little more money to spend on things like video games. I should not have been spending any money on video games during the summer because during the school year I was broke. Over the summer I just had more cash flow. I didn't necessarily have any, shall we say, reserves. But I'm here now, and that's what matters. So let's go through the experience of unboxing the original Nintendo Switch model. Originally, Nintendo Switches came in this elongated box like this, and the console was here, and the grip and the Joy-Con were here. This TV was in the corner, the big Nintendo Switch thing. A couple years later, in was it 2019? Or 28, I think it was 2019, is when they introduced Nintendo Switch Lite, which is the all-in-one Nintendo Switch that doesn't actually switch, which still annoys me to this day. And that's when they had the die-shrunk version of the X1 processor that's used in this Nintendo Switch. It underwent a die shrink, which made it a little bit smaller and more power efficient, which is how they got a boosted battery life for the Switch Lite and for the Nintendo Switch that you can buy today. And technically even the OLED model, I think, uses that same shrunken version of the X1 processor. That's also when they changed the packaging to be more vertical. And it went kind of all red instead of this kind of gray, white color scheme with a little bit of red here, but not a whole lot in general. So So this is what the front looked like. Really simple. And around the side, you can see it just shows how you dock the Switch. Around the side, you can see it shows how to dock the Switch, what the Switch looks like in the dock with the Joy-Con grip. You've got kind of the Switch logo with it in handheld mode. People sharing the Joy-Con together to use as two controllers. And it's in tabletop mode, and then just the Joy-Con kind of hanging out with their straps. The other side has more of that kind of lifestyle marketing to it. Someone's holding it. People are holding the Joy-Con. It's in tabletop mode with the controllers. Controllers are slotting into the grip. Someone's holding the grip. The top just has Nintendo in this big red header. The bottom shows what you would get with Nintendo Switch. So it comes with the system, tablet itself, the dock, the grip, the AC cable, the HDMI cable, the straps, and then the left and right Joy-Con. And then it's got all the fun warnings. And the back of the box is maybe the most fun part of this. It's just the Nintendo Switch with Joy-Cons. So this packaging has been changed quite a bit in the years after the Switch came out. And as they introduced the Switch Lite and the Switch OLED model, they revamped a lot of the packaging. They made it smaller. It's more, it's better, honestly. But there is something to this elongated box that I will always remember and hold with me as part of my memories of getting this console when it first came out. And then to open it up, you just undo this little flap. This opens up. And you get a really nice little infographic here. This was a big departure from the Wii U days where this art style, this graphical style was not being used. So it tells you to, step 1, plug it in with the AC adapter. Step 2, set it up. And that's about it. It tells you how to detach the Joy-Con, how to turn it on, and that's it. And if you need help, you can go to Nintendo's website, which should still be up and running to this day. And then you would open it up, and you are greeted with this sea of white. On this first kind of tray, Nintendo for the Wii U had this 2-tray thing, and the 2 trays would slide out. Here they kept, and even the 3DS even had kind of a tray system, for lack of a better word, in place. The Switch one kept that. This top tray gave you the console itself, which is, you know, an attempt at creating something. So it's not very large. It's only like 7.9 inches. If I were to grab like my iPad mini, it would be somewhat comparable in size. But yeah, you can see mine has some wear from the years. My buttons protrude from the top, the volume buttons. Some people's do, some people's don't. The power button's there. You can see the fan, ventilation, the headphone jack, game card. Did I leave a game card in here? No, I didn't. The rails, the sucky kickstand, the SD card, the logo. You can see kind of the wear here a little bit more. And this is the Nintendo Switch, as everyone had it for a very long time. So I'm gonna set that over to the side for a moment. And then we got the Joy-Con. So I have not used Joy-Con controllers in a very long time because I primarily play my Nintendo Switch, and this Switch in particular was usually being played in docked mode. There were some instances of being handheld. But primarily it was being done in docked mode. And for the longest time, I only had the Joy-Con as my controllers, these ones. And it wasn't until later that I got a Pro controller, and oh me, oh my, was that a decision I wish I made a lot sooner. So here I've got the classic, Joy-Con R in gray. You can see the wear where it's been slotted onto the system over the years and removed. It's rubbed off on the rail a little bit, but have your little Tic Tacs. You can see like my finger oil have kind of built up over the years. The stick, it drifts a little bit. Home button. Classic Joy-Con. And the left Joy-Con has fared a little bit better all these years later. And then you would just, slot on your Joy-Con. And this was Nintendo Switch as I knew it for most of my life. Then you would remove this tray, and I think I am missing some accessories from here a little bit. There's an AC adapter that I'm missing. We've got the grip, which is just a piece of plastic. We'll come back to this in a minute. And we've got the dock. This is the original dock. Let's see if I can find a way to hoist this out. I re-put it in the bubble wrap. And, it's kind of a unit. It's very boxy. This current OLED dock is a lot more curved. It's also white on some models anyway. And the Switch 2 dock looks to be curved even further. But this one was very boxy. It's very large. It's very unit-esque. You can see the dust in there. You can see the sides, the connectors. This back panel was always kind of fun because it swung open on a hinge, which they got rid of with the OLED model, and it looks to have been discontinued with the OLED as well. But this one had a hinge, which is kind of cool. Then you would plug in your AC adapter. If you had a USB accessory you wanted to plug in, like a charger, for example, you could do that here. HDMI out. And then you still have 2 USB ports on the outside. So you had 3 USB ports with this original dock. I kind of prefer this in a lot of ways, honestly, because if we say that you had this console and you wanted to play like Smash Ultimate, you need to have 2 controllers or 2 USB ports available to plug the GameCube adapter in, which would leave you just one to like wire a Pro controller or like a charger for your other controllers or whatever. If you were doing like a LAN adapter, you would use it for this. You could use one of the outside ones, but again, if you're doing like Smash or something, you're not getting very far with that. So having the flexibility of 3 was always pretty nice, and I didn't realize how much I missed that until I got my OLED model. So yeah, you can see where I've like pulled cords out and they've kind of scratched off over the years, but then it had that kind of satisfying click. You are always able to like stick your finger down back in here. I never understood that. I was like, why not make this like a full window that would close? I still don't know the answer to that. But then you would take your console and just slot it in, and that TV light LED in the lower left would turn on. And I mean, this was Nintendo Switch. So let's take off the Joy-Con again. I'll slot the console back into the dock. We'll get out the grip. I use this for everything for the longest time, so I'm very familiar with doing this. And then this is how I would play, like Mario Kart, Splatoon, Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, would be just like this. So, and this was the Nintendo Switch. So, So yeah, nowadays I keep this console around as kind of a memento more than anything. These Joy-Con do drift, unfortunately. And this model, and I replaced this Nintendo Switch with my OLED model, which I got in, would have had to have been early 2022. It was a little bit, I want to say it was around the time Kirby and the Forgotten Land came out. Maybe a little bit earlier than that. Because Splatoon 3 was coming out, I wanted to be able to be wired for that. And yeah, I just kind of wanted the OLED screen, the bigger screen. Back in the day, I had a 3DS XL, which I upgraded from a regular Nintendo 3DS. So getting the bigger screen, something a little bit bigger, a little bit nicer, replacing the console I already had was kind of familiar. So that's what I did. Kept this around, obviously. I still use the OLED to this day, but with the Nintendo Switch 2 coming out in just about a month, you know, I'll be packing it up and putting it into storage, and you know, we'll be back here for the unboxing of Nintendo Switch 2. So yeah, I just wanted to take the time before Switch 2 came out to share, you know, what it was like unboxing and opening Nintendo Switch. Not quite at launch, but close to launch at the time it came out. Just share some of my memories of what that was like, and just kind of share that with y'all. So for those curious, I did, of course, get a Switch 2 pre-order. In fact, and I know I'm going to get accused of scalping for this, but I actually have 3. I managed to get, and so kind of what got me thinking about this was the Switch 2 pre-order situation. And then, of course, I bought mine at Walmart. So Switch 2, I did end up getting one of my pre-orders from Best Buy for the Mario Kart World Bundle. So I'm looking forward to picking that up in person at midnight on, I think is it June 6th or June 5th? And then Walmart, I expected to go terribly, and somehow it didn't go terribly. I got a not bundle Switch 2 from them. So those are the 2 consoles that I have on pre-order, and I'm keeping hold of both of them just in case one or the other doesn't work out. I'd registered my interest at Nintendo because you had to do that first, but their invite came the latest. And in order to, so I didn't need the Switch 2 that I got from Nintendo, but you needed to purchase one to purchase like the GameCube adapter, or the GameCube controller, the Amiibo, some of the accessories like that, which is kind of stupid. But you know, alas, I had to do it. So I'll probably end up canceling my Walmart order, keep my Best Buy one, since I'll get it in person on day one, and probably ultimately end up either returning my Switch 2 from Nintendo, or you know, finding someone else who needs a console, you know, close to launch. So anyway, that is my look at Nintendo Switch. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.